and seen. Somewhat ironically, I was going to start off by introducing myself, that I am an agile coach at Bupa, but I have to say that these are my own words, and it was their laptop that was sabotaging us. So the security settings, so nothing to do with you guys. Thank you so much for your help. So yeah, my name is Jeni Bradford, and I am a qualified business psychologist. I have a master's in tech management. I'm an accredited ICF coach. I have plenty of agile coaching background. I'm a lean green belt, and I'm a proud dog mum. Mildly obsessed with my little puppy. Why is this important? My background is predominantly ops, and as you can probably tell, not technology. And what I try and do is help large organisations understand how to introduce agile ways of working in a comfortable way. And the reason why I'm not affiliated with any organisation today, well, we also try to implement SAFE, so we'll try not to discuss that too much. And I forgot my grey suit today. Is I wanted to make sure that this was my experience that I'm sharing. So my background, as I say, is predominantly ops management, and team management. So I cut my teeth in call centres, all the Brighton call centres, if anybody remembers them, Telegen, Inkfish. Boy, did I learn a lot about team management. So agile leadership, I also put it into AI, because I'm a millennial and we're obsessed with it. I am 40. Trust me, it's good Botox. But I popped it into AI, and it came up with this definition. So a dynamic approach that focuses on facilitating collaboration, empowering teams, and fostering a culture of continuous improvement. But that looks lovely on a CV. But what's the reality of actually what happens when you try and implement agile ways of working in a large organisation? I'm going to cover various topics which will be familiar to a lot of you, and my inspiring fellow speakers today. I can see there's a lot of it that threads through what you've been talking about as well. Sorry, this light is very bright. If I'm squinting, it's just the light. And we're going to start off with systems thinking. So part of being a leader, just in general, systems thinking comes in really useful. When I started studying systems thinking as part of my master's, it was dry. It was really, really dry topic, and I couldn't get my head around it. And I'm a middle child, and if I can't do something right the first time or understand it the first time, I want to give up. So I tried to find a way of explaining it to myself that I could buy into, and I came across Vance model of the bike and the frog, if anybody's familiar. And this works under the premise that there's two types of systems. There's the mechanicistic system and the organismic system. Try not to trip over that word and have a Bridget Jones moment. We look at organisations in these two ways. If you have a bike and a mechanicistic system, and there's something wrong with it, what do generally?
Take it to a man.
Take
it to a man to fix it.
Take it to somebody else to fix it to you. And what does that person do with it? Yeah. Component parts, take it apart, put it back together again. Hopefully it will go faster. Ring a bell? So my lean background, process improvement, was all about that. So you would take a process apart, take this bit out, put that bit back in again, working smoothly. What that didn't factor in was what that was doing at the other end of the scale, or over there. He's pissed off, she's pissed off, something's gone wrong again. The other way of thinking is your frog thinking. And this is where it suddenly had this light bulb moment in my mind, to understand that actually organisations are more like living, breathing organisms, and they have a heart, but not good biology, a brain, lungs. They're impacted by the environment around them. And if you apply the same principles to fix your frog, poor Kermit, as you do your bike, what happens? You got a dead frog. So I always think when we're looking at process improvement as agile leaders, you really need to consider absolutely everything around you. You can't, though. There will be so many unknown unknowns that you have to get your head around that and get used to it. Was my first lesson. Second point here is developing a growth mindset. There's a lot of buzz around this at the moment, particularly in larger organisations, and they're moving from this fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And I've got personal experience of developing a growth mindset. My side hustle is personal development coaching, and this has been life-changing. When you start to realise that there's another way of thinking, you can really start to move things forward for yourself and for others as well. So what do I mean by a growth mindset? I'll just cover it quickly in case you're not aware. So Carol Dweck did some studies on children. It was with permission, and they willingly sat down and completed puzzles, and they were observing these children. Has anybody in this room got children?
Yeah.
Anybody like Sleep and Money and just works with them instead? Or anybody that works with adults that act like children? Or if you've been a child, you will know that if you put a puzzle in front of you, there are some that will slap their hands together, go, oh, I can't wait, and they genuinely love the challenge. That's your growth mindset. And there are some that will push it away, I can't do that, I'm not interested. Now, interestingly, another observation is nobody with a fixed or a growth mindset has read, at that point, had read Carol Dweck's book, because she was doing studies. So these things just exist. So where was it coming from? So our mindset essentially is set in childhood a lot of the time. Our UK education system, unfortunately, actually encourages a fixed mindset mentality. And we have raised a generation of leaders, and you'll probably relate to this, that are after that gold sticky star in order to learn something new. What we need to move to is more of a growth mindset, and our Scandinavian friends and relatives, you might be some of you in the room, actually have an education system that encourages learning and rewards hard work and the learning process. Since that publication in 2006, the thinking has moved on, as all psychological studies do. They've even started to study women now, I know, and our non-binary friends too. They are starting to now appreciate that the mindset is actually a continuum. It's a continuum. We just love circles as psychologists, but it's a continuum. And it's not to say that you'll be in one mindset or another mindset at any one time. It depends on lots of different things. You can be moving throughout them. So my personal example is, let's have a guess. How many tests do you think it took me to pass my driving test?
3, 5, 16, 11.
Not 16, chill out.
9.
Somebody said 9, and it's slightly lower? 8 times. I know. I'm financially ruined. The reason it took me 8 times, and to be fair, it was over the space of 10 years, and there was the pandemic, was what I started to realise on my 7th was and you might relate to this, I realised I struggled to be taught, but I was really good at learning. And if anybody that studies learning styles, probably, my style is more kinesthetic, so I learn by doing. So I bought myself a little automatic, and whoever was willing to sit next to me, victims you may call them, sat next to me, and I learned to drive that way. And on my 8th time, I passed my test. Thank you. So I could move away from thinking, I kept saying, well, ladies are driven, we don't drive. But actually that was my fixed mindset coming through, trying to talk myself out of it. I'm also riddled with anxiety as well, and I just couldn't face another one. But I pushed through, and that's that growth mindset. So now I embrace the learning. And I'm here today with you because I'm embracing my personal development and trying to get rid of my anxiety of public speaking. It's exactly the same. So I implore and encourage anybody that is looking to develop personally to start to embrace a more growth mindset and encourage it in others. The next topic is emotional intelligence. Sounds impressive, doesn't it, when you say it? So emotional intelligence is actually just the understanding of emotions. And if you're one of my neurospicy friends, as I call them, there is a caution sticker over this, that the understanding of other people's emotions is quite difficult for some people, depending on how your brain works. And actually, if you're an empath like myself, you can go the other way, and you're hyper aware. Because I get my energy from the people around me, so if it's down, the energy's down in a room, I'm really down. And if it's up, I'm really up, which is why I like to make everybody laugh. So emotional intelligence covers, again, psychologists love to put it in a box, but it's obviously a lot more than this. But the models that have been created are that it's about self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, self-motivation, and those social skills. And I thought this is quite a useful one for the toolkit, is our feelings wheel. Particularly in this country, anybody that's raised that's identified as a male tends to struggle with this, and unfortunately it tends to be how people are parented. And then on the flip side of that, if you are a woman, or you're recognised as a woman or raised as a woman, you will be more inclined to, well, it depends on the time of the month as well, but you're more inclined to over-articulate some of this stuff. So we need to acknowledge that everybody needs to try and start to give these feelings that we're experiencing a language. I do note I haven't mentioned non-binary. I'm sorry, the studies haven't been done. I would one day, hopefully, I will have that knowledge as well. So yeah, so articulating the feelings is really important, and I put practice, because we don't naturally give our feelings language. It sits in part of the, you're going to correct me in a minute, when you slice through the brain, the limbic part of the brain has the feelings and those emotions that you're feeling, and then the neocortex on the outside gives them language. And you need the two to work together. So this and learning these words and these sections will help you to articulate how you're feeling. Why is this important? Because we're not mind readers, as much as some people will think that we are. We aren't mind readers. So we need to be able to articulate these feelings. I've stolen this offline. Just Google feelings wheel and you'll find it. Relationships and building trust. We had a bit of a chat at lunch about this, some of us. And it's actually known in the business now as psychological safety. And there's a reason why there's a beautiful little golden retriever on here. And it's because we, at work, developed a 360 feedback model. This will be familiar if you work in any sort of organisation. So you have feedback from direct reports, customers, teammates, supervisors, and then you get all of that feedback. It's a gift, right? You need to be able to trust the people that you're speaking to. And the reason there's a golden retriever on there, my golden retriever is in this room. My colleague Jack and I won't point him out, we're giving each other a 360 feedback. He's quite possibly one of the nicest humans you will ever meet. And we were giving each other feedback, and without knowing, when we gave each other our feedback, he'd likened me to a Labrador, and I'd likened him to a golden retriever. So it was just an example about when there's that trust, you can really talk in those feelings to understand how the other person is perceiving you, and it's really meaningful feedback. It can go the other way though. Please make sure that you have the trust in order to give and receive feedback. So I've got the other model here as well. I've put this one up here. So Mary Claire Ross and her book Trusted to Thrive. Contact me on LinkedIn if you want any of the links to this afterwards. So Marie Claire talks about fostering safety, creating connection, and stepping into a meaningful future. So you've got to think about the receiver of the feedback and the person that you're leading. They are going to be thinking, these are quite powerful questions. Do I belong here? Is it safe to be myself? Can I trust these people to look out for me? And what's my future with these people? You know, if you ask yourself these questions and you're immediately getting a horrible feeling, you may not be doing the job that you should be doing. And it's a hard thing to come to terms with sometimes, but it's always good to try and find your people. Servant leadership. This one makes me chuckle because I hear it all time and time again. You've got to practice servant leadership. You worked in a large organisation and it's hierarchical. One of the first things that happens is you're presented with an org chart when you join. You know the power dynamic, you know where your bread is buttered, and you all assume your roles. Let's go introduce agile roles. Scrum Master, PO, Delivery Lead, Agile Project Manager, oxymoron. Sorry. What else are they calling them nowadays? Probably the different levels anyway. They are agile roles. One problem. Sorry if you can't see that. You have no authority whatsoever. And so actually what I see more so nowadays when I'm observing agile coaches as well, to be fair, because every now and again we roll our sleeves up and act as a delivery lead as well. Scrum Masters, POs, these poor sods are being put into leadership positions without any authority at all. So actually they've become subservient leaders more so, because rightfully so, there's a pecking order that they've been introduced to, so they do tend to get in line. So practicing servant leadership needs to come with an element of top-down introduction. Unfortunately, in large organisations, it's the nature of things. So it's just to acknowledge that there's something going on here with the power dynamics. It's very important to acknowledge them as an organisation, no matter how big or small you are. The key line, I said this at lunch as well, that I keep leaning back onto is people will ask you, how are you going to measure me? And I'll tell you how I'm going to behave. Doesn't matter what performance model you put into place, that's what's going to happen. And so introducing servant leadership needs to be done with the right guidance and care. And ultimately, to let them know that they are your agile leader, please help them and be a team. And I have seen it done very successfully. This is one of the most useful tools that I coach around. So transactional analysis. Anybody that's familiar in the psychology space? I love this. I'm just going to take a drink. So transactional analysis is about how we communicate with each other. And this is more so about yourself. Because one thing you're going to have to come to terms with is you cannot change anybody else and you cannot control anybody else, no matter how hard you try. So what this works under the premise of, I'm going to use a really extreme example, but I actually do see it quite a lot, and to explain what might be going on. And this is all related to those power dynamics that I've been talking about. Critical parent state. Well, let's take it back a step. So I'll explain these. So you have 3 different states of behaviour. And parent state is those behaviours, thoughts and feelings copied from parent figures, carers, as we were growing up and impressionable. I would also argue as you get older, potentially people that you've been led by as well. Adult state is behaviours and thoughts and feelings and responses to the here and now, with a conscious control employed. Would be nice. Child state is the behaviours, thoughts and feelings replayed from childhood. Oh, actually, we've got a great example from Day. Troublemaker. Look at that language. Troublemaker. Quite childlike, isn't it? So we've got a rebellious child ego state going on. If you're in a hierarchical organisation and you start playing up, child language again, what you can drive in terms of behaviour in other people is a critical parent mode, particularly if they had a critical parent, or if they've had an experience of a leader growing up or in their workplace. You can also trigger caring parent mode as well. So if you've got anybody that's quite paternal, maternal in terms of their approach, they might try and parent the person that's being rebellious. Don't do that. I don't think you should do that. And I see that quite a lot. The other way, again, so coming back to yourself, if you are critical towards somebody, and I've seen grown men in boardrooms quite literally throw their toys out the pram if they don't get their own way. And what's happening there is they're feeling criticised, and then they're rebelling in their childlike state. So what do we do about it? What I coach around is bringing yourself to that adult state. So we talked about self-regulation, and that's the important thing to do. So you have the emotional intelligence to say, I know what's going on here. It's often then you need to take a beat and then plan your approach and bring it up to adult and try to align. So they're just having that on a level type of conversation can really help. If somebody is going into these states, give them time. They need a little bit of time to settle before you can then go back in. Don't do this with your partners, please. It doesn't work. You're too close. However, actually, do you know what? Some marriage counselling, they do talk about being careful not to parent each other nowadays, but that's a whole different talk. But yeah, really useful tool. So that's transactional analysis. Coaching skills. So as I say, I'm an agile coach. I'm a personal development coach externally, and this is one of the big things that I started to learn, that I love coaching other people. It is my purpose. I do really enjoy it, and as a leader, I would say it's one of those skills that you need to be able to know when to switch it on and when to switch it off. If you're a formal leader and you've got direct reports, don't ask why and what when you've got somebody potentially in a childlike state, or if they are riled up in any way. What's going to happen if you start to go, why is that then? Why do you think that is? And I've had this done to me. It's going to rile them up. So you need to know when to switch it on and when to switch it off. So I found this model online, which I quite like, actually. So coaching, to me, is very much that asking questions, but this is client, but the person that you're coaching is the expert. It's about asking powerful questions in order to get the best out of that person. Controversially, some people do challenge the fact that, you know, in that friend space you can be a bit of everything. I think it's true. What you are not is a therapist or a counsellor. You are a coach. Although I sometimes say I'm not a psychiatrist, but I can pick up on when you say one thing, but mean your mother. It's usually the case. So coaching, it's really important to know when to switch it on and when to switch it off, and it is a learnt skill. Coaching in the UK is an unregulated system. You have to be very careful about who you approach, and you need to take great care to ensure that you have the relevant training and capability, because you are dealing with other human beings. You have to learn how to practice it safely and ethically, more than anything. So I've popped this one up here. ICF are just one of the recognised, so it's the International Coaching Federation. They are a learning machine, like most people that want to monetize this stuff. However, they are recognised, and I would implore you, if you want to go down the coaching route, to get some sort of formal training in it. And if you are looking to employ coaches, look for something that's recognised. And as a coach, I'm always learning, and as you can see, there's many different areas of coaching that you can go into. But it's great. It's one of the most enjoyable parts of my role. I'm actually wrapping up. I've been given 10 minutes, so I've actually gone way under. But then we're quite late into it anyway. So that should hopefully bring you back on time. So, top things that I've learnt. Manage tasks and lead people. I'm going to say that a bit louder for those at the back. Manage tasks and lead people. I see way too much command and control of trying to manage people like tasks. It does not work. Observe and actively listen. If you are a leader of any kind or working with human beings, you need to learn to actively listen. And this is putting aside that solution part of your brain. I see you, devs. I see you. That's constantly on stand-up. So I'm pulling people out of that solution mode, because what we need to do is to start thinking about the problem, so we spoke about it earlier, more so, and actually defining that properly before you get going. And that active listening is a big part of being that agile leader, to pull those key pieces of information out of people. The other thing I've learned through coaching is we're taught as coaches to avoid assumptions. And this is a real light bulb moment for me. When you start, as human beings, as we were talking about earlier, we apply judgment very naturally and very easily. It's just what we do. We're keeping ourselves safe. When you meet somebody new, you will ask questions, you will start to try and suss them out a little bit, you'll apply a judgment, you'll make an assumption. Save that for when, if you're like me, you're chatting with your sister on WhatsApp and you go, oh, have you seen so-and-so from school? That's reserved for that. When you're in the workplace and when you're supporting other people, you need to try and take those assumptions out of things, particularly when you're making assumptions on somebody's capability. That's quite a common one that I see. That you don't know. You don't know what's going on in that person's life. And so when you set up a safe coaching session, you can start to discuss those things, though. Be an ally. You don't have to be friends with everybody. I get it. But being an ally and being on their side and coming from an authentic, genuine place makes life a lot easier when you're in the workplace. So being on their side and people feeling like you've got their back is only going to serve you well. Bringing your authentic self to work. Authentic self, that's hard, isn't it? We had another discussion at lunch. You really need to do the work to understand who you are and who the authentic version of you is. Is it the troublemaker? Is it the play person? Sorry. Is it? Are you a psychologist? You know, who is it that you're bringing to the table? That authenticity, people will know, people will feel, and that will, again, bode well in terms of when you're leading other people. Last couple. Leaving the ladder down. I've put this one up here, largely to get on my soapbox for a second, if I may, about women in tech. We do not get the same opportunities, and I would have probably put non-binary into this space as well. We are overlooked, largely due to the way that we are educated and raised. As I say, I'm a millennial. We did not get taught the same things as our male counterparts, unfortunately. If you are in a position of true leadership or an organisation owner, please leave that ladder down for the women in the tech space. We love it, we're really good at it, and we need more and more of us at the top. And finally, have fun, which has been the theme of today. I'm in true admiration of my other speakers today, and it's been great because it all kind of links up to everything that we've been talking about. So it turns out I do know what I'm talking about. But yeah, finally, one word from the love of my life. This is Dorothy. She says thank you and send me home to feed her later.